welcome back everybody to Daily Math Concepts. Today, what I would like to look at is a function, just to see if we could state ideas that are functions. So basically, we will be exploring that relation and functions in a very simple and concise, and I would say an easy way. So guess what? Just sit back, relax, and I will be back with functions. All right, so here it is. We have a number of ideas that we will be using to discuss the concept behind a function. I'm going to put this idea though in my simple way. Basically, when we think of a function, we're talking about a one-to-one relation. But the focus of this idea is that, all right, let us say we're classifying these are as x values and this is y values, x and y. And I'm going to tell you why I really state these as x and y and not the other way around. The x values are the independent variable. So normally the arrow would have been leaving the independent variable to the dependent variable. So the domain is the independent and the range, which is what we call the y values, are the dependent. So one of the things that we have to look for is where the arrow is pointing. All right, so the arrow normally leaves the x and go towards the y. What's the idea behind what's the function though? What's a function? The function is such that each x value would have one and only one value in the range. So each value from your domain must have only one value in the range. That's all. In other words, each of my x value, I'm going to look at them and assess them. They should be pointing only towards one value in the y system. And as long as we are seeing that, then we're dealing with a function. Look at this. Look at number 8. If you look at the 8 is pointing towards 3. So in other words, then we have 8 with a 3. And if you look again, we have 8 going to 4, right? And if you look again, we have 8 going to 9. Whenever we see things like these, where the value on our domain is being doubled or tripled, going to different values, definitely I don't have to look at anything else. It's not a function. So a function cannot do this, right? So we're seeing where one value on the domain or the x value would have multiple values in the y. So this is not a function. Let's observe this. We're seeing where 3 would have linked to 12, 2 is linking to 13, 1 is linking to 14, 1 is linking to 14, and 0 is linking to 15. Definitely, this is a one-to-one. So yes, this is a function. All right, what about this one now? Sometimes a lot of people might think this is not a function based on what's going on here. But let's think about the principle. Let's write down the coordinates. We're seeing where let me put them on top here, where the 4 is linked to the 5. Then we're seeing where 8 is linked to 5. We're seeing where 12, let me put them in a little thing just to bar them off. 12 is linked to 10, right? 12 is linked to 10, and we're seeing where 16 is linked to 15. As you could see, all of these x values would be going to 1. So it doesn't matter if two different x values go to the same y, because that's not the issue. The issue is these x values, how many are they pointing to? And everybody was just pointing to 1. So definitely this is a function as well. So definitely would say this is a function. All right. Let us now view it from a standpoint where we're looking at view it from the point where we're looking at like a graph, like we're on the grid, So we're in quadrant 1, basically. I'm in quadrant 1 here. So let me put on some numbers just to assist. So this is like number 1 here, number 3 there. This is like a number 1 here, and number 3 here. Now, if we look at this, I'm going to list the points again. This number 1 here, I'm going to write it up here. 1 was linked to 2. 1 meets 2. 2 meets 3. So we're seeing that. And we're seeing here now, this is the issue. Because if you look carefully at this, we're seeing that 3 linked 1 here. And that same 3 linked 4. This is the problem. The problem is that this number 3 linked too many things. All right? When you're a function, you can only link 1. So we're expecting 3 to go to one thing. It didn't. It went to 2 separate points here. And that's the issue. So what it means then is this is not a function. All right, let's go to number 5. Well, when you look at this though, so if I put 1, 3, 5, I put 1, 3, you could see looking at this alone, 1 with 1, 1 with, so we're seeing 1 with 1 here, 1 with 2 there, 1 with 3 there, 1 with 4. We're seeing 2 with 1 here, 2 with 4. This is definitely not a function because every single one of my x values had more than 1. And I only need to see 1. And I'm seeing all of them messing up. So guess what? This is definitely not a function. All right, let's look at this one. Let me put on some ideas here. So this one we have a 0, 1, 3, and this could be a 5. I'm seeing here, I'm seeing 1 linking number 2. That's fine. Then I'm seeing number 2 linking number 2. That is okay. Number 3 here linked number 3. There's a 3 here. There's a 1 there. And 4 here linked 4. Now, when we check out the values on our domain, all of these values here, they were only linking 1 value at a time, which means that it's a 1 going to 1. So yes, this is a function. Now we're going to look on this same idea though from 2 more perspectives. We're looking at this in terms of input and output. All right, we can classify our x values. Let me just change the pen for this. We can classify our x values as the input and the y values as the output. Same thing here. X values as the input, y values as the output. So we could look at it from that standpoint, right? So here's the deal. Let us observe the things from our input. These are our input values, as we could see, right? Now we want to notice, we want to note, we want to watch, we want to make sure that we're seeing where each would have only 1. For example, you're seeing that 0. Let me just write it on the line before we draw the conclusion. We're seeing here where 0 is linked to 4. I'm seeing where 1 is linked to 1. 2 is linked to 0. Talking about each input producing its own output, or producing 1 output, should say. And we have 3 linking to 4. And so with all of this idea, we're seeing where each member on the domain, or the input, or the x values, would be going towards 1. So I didn't have a repeated x value here going to another y value. So this is classified as a function because I'm getting a 1-to-1 still. Let's check this out. When I look over here, I'm seeing where number 1 would have been repeated here. And not only that, number 2 was repeated too. And then we saw that number 1 went with a 4 here. And down here, number 1 went with a 7. When we have a function, our x values cannot produce two separate y values. And we saw it twice because number 2 produced 5 and then number 2 produced 8. That cannot be the case. Therefore, this is not a function. All right, let's just look at a function the last way now in terms of coordinates. Coordinate is when we have an x and a y value, all right, in our bracket like that. Another thing that we want to make note of as well is the fact that the x values always comes first, then the y value. X value, then the y value. And that's how a coordinate is written, all right? So if we don't know, we have the x values first, then the y values after. So we're going to be observing. Let us look. Do we have any repeated x values first? We're looking at that first. We're looking at that. I'm seeing 1. I'm seeing 0. I see 2. I see 3. I see 5. And I see 7. I don't see any repeated x values. The moment I don't have any repeated x values, then definitely I am dealing with a function there. Over here, I can't say the same because I'm seeing number 3 here and I'm seeing number 3 here. Remember, these are x values already. And this number 3 produced a 7. The same number 3 produced a 6, and that is the issue. So this is not a function. All right. Very good. One of the last thing that we could do, though, is to do what is called a vertical line test. All right. Just a quick idea on the vertical line test. All right. All right. So let me pull up my axis. So I'm going to have on my axis, I have, so these are just some quick lines I'm drawing, guys. Nothing proper. So I have a graph, and that's the graph. All right. And I have another axis here. Just put it up quickly. Right, and let us say I have a graph that goes like this, and it goes like that, and it goes like that. All right, and then I'm gonna do the last one, right? And I have a line that comes like that. So these are my axes, right? X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. All right. So I'm gonna do a quick vertical line test. So a vertical line test would help us to know, because a vertical line, the x values on our grid are actually vertical lines, all right? So if this vertical line would touch the graph more than once, it's not a function. So vertical line, bam. You could see here that it only touched the line once here, all right? So it only touched the graph once. That means this is a function. What it really means, though, is this would have been some x value somewhere. It could be 5, could be 6, whatever it is, but it only would have just a point for this graph. Let's check this out. Bam. I can't say the same for this because I'm seeing where we're having 1 intercept there, 2, 3. The moment it's more than 1, the moment that vertical line touches the curve, or touches the graph, should say, more than once, then that graph is not a function. It means that I would have multiple points with one x value. Let's check this straight line. See with me? All right, so it touches it right there. And we are saying that this is a function as well because that vertical line only touched it once. All right, so the conclusion is that whenever we have a function, the x values should only be pointing to one y value. All right, so we cannot have one x value going to two y values. We cannot have this. All right, so here is the classic example. One x value goes to one y value, hence a function. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.